Hi, Grandma here, and I'm reading the Golden Goblet by Eloise Jarvis McGraw, and I am going to be beginning in chapter 3. Chapter 2, Ranofer has confronted his wicked half-brother about stealing gold. His brother, of course, became very angry and claims that he doesn't know what Ranofer's talking about and basically threatens him. Chapter 3. Ranofer woke with the feeling that something important and fine had happened. He sat up, peering around him sleepily. Then he remembered his decision of the night before. Wide awake at once, he scrambled to his feet, and his eyes went automatically to the upper room. Was Gebu still sleeping, or had he gone to his work? No matter, I'm not afraid of him, thought Ranofer. It seemed unnecessary, however, to court trouble by investigating the matter. He stole across the courtyard, which was dingier than even in the cool morning light. There was nothing at all on the storeroom shelves except empty crocks and baskets, and a dish containing the crumbs of last night's loaf. Gebu had not yet breakfasted, and Ranofer decided not to wait for him. Hunger was a better companion. Drinking deep from the water jar, he yanked his sash tight around his hollow middle and let himself out the gate. Running on fleet, silent feet down the street of the Crooked Dog, he felt frightened but jubilant. Today he would begin a new life. No longer would he be a cringing puppy and ashamed of the welts on his back, avoiding Rekh's eyes. He would weigh the gold, every grain, and pour the ingots and wash the sweep, and he would not carry home the wineskin when the day was done. Gebu does not want it, he would say to the Babylonian. He bids me tell you he does not like your wine. Great Lord Ra burst over the eastern horizon just as Ranofer turned into the broad road that edged the fields of the flower growers. Beyond the emerald fields, he could glimpse the surface of the river, jeweled with sunlight. A flock of pintail ducks planed down over the papyrus marsh and vanished among the reeds. "Sa," murmured Ranofer automatically, reminded of his lessons with the scribe. He halted and dropped to one knee, scratching the hieroglyph of the pintail duck in the dust with his finger. By adding a vertical stroke beside it and the picture of a man kneeling, one could write the word Sa, sun, S-O-N. Ranofer admired his handiwork a moment, then changed the kneeling man to a kneeling woman, obliterated the stroke, and placed it with a bread loaf. Behold, Sat, daughter. Ranofer smiled. It gave one a sense of power to be able to write words. He wished, though, that he had not added the bread loaf tea. It reminded him of his empty stomach. He got up and hurried on. There were many people in the street now calling greetings to one another as they set out for their work. Everywhere, once he'd thought of it, Ranofer saw hieroglyphics. There on a doorstep was a whisker basket, K. Yonder, in, the ripples on the water. The vulture wheeling above the slow-moving boats was the guttural sound, ah. Even the boats themselves and the rising sun, the amulet on his wrist and the beetle crawling in the dust were the same as the careful signs he'd learned to draw on his clay tablet. He'd not forgotten them. Perhaps if he urged his memory further, practiced each night as he lay on his mat, nothing seemed impossible today. Buoyant with hope, he turned into the street of the goldsmiths. Ahead of him, just emerging from the apprentices' quarters and finishing his breakfast as he ran, was the new boy, Rekh. The two exchanged attentive glances that, I don't know if it's Rekh or Hecate, I think it's Hecate. Then Hecate's snub nose face broke into a smile. "May Ra smile upon you, comrade, and upon you," Ranofer returned eagerly. It was clear his rudeness was forgiven. "Did you pour your ingot without splashing yesterday?" he asked as they started on together. "Aye, in a manner of speaking," the other said with a grin, "which is to say, I watched the second craftsman pour it." "He will let you do it yourself today," Ranofer said. In spite of himself, his eyes strayed to the food Hecate was eating as he walked. "What have you there?" he added, trying to sound unconcerned. "Only a fig," Hecate replied. He glanced at Ranofer, then looked again more closely. "I have another. Would you eat it?" "Oh, no. I merely asked. I do not care for figs. Ranofer's hasty protests were cut short by a dismal growling from his empty stomach, which felt even vaster than the temple of Ammon this morning. Hecate, still watching him, dug a second fig from his sash and held it out. "Come, take it, Ranofer. It will quiet your rumblings," as the man said when he tossed his right leg to the crocodile. Ranofer found himself grinning broadly as he imagined the crocodile surprised. This Hecate must be the drollest fellow in Egypt, and that's another word for funny, in a dry sort of way. "You look different when you smile," said Hecate, studying him curiously. "Why do you not do it more often?" I do not know." "There, now I've made you as solemn again. I should put a curb on my tongue. Here, take the fig. That should cheer you." Ranofer took the fig. The temptation was stronger than his pride. Thanking Hecate awkwardly, he set his teeth into the crisp golden skin. Pure honey dropped into his mouth with every bite. He thought he had never tasted anything so good. The sun was pouring into the broad courtyard at the goldsmith's shop, flooding ovens, benches, crucibles, and a radiance that made even the washing vats seem things of beauty. Parting from Hecate inside the gate, Ranofer hurried into the shop to begin his first task, that of helping the weigher and the scribe issue each man's portion of gold. Rekh and the craftsman had not yet arrived, but the storeroom door was open, and the older apprentices were lining up in front of the scales. The weigher emerged from the storeroom with a basket of ingots, just as Ranofer took his place beside the writing scribe. "Rejoice, friends," puffed the weigher, bobbing his head to the room in general. "We will begin. Name the master's wishes, Hodapek. 4 measures to the apprentice Hapayo for beating into a sheep," droned the scribe, reading from the tablet at the same time, keeping a sharp eye on the scale as his companion weighed out ingots to equal 4 measures. "Done," the weigher grunted as the scales balanced. 4 measures to a payo," echoed Ranofer. He dug the ingots out of the leather weighing bag and handed them to the apprentice. The scribe made a mark on his tablet and read the next instruction. 1/2 measure to Jerit, together with 1/20th measure of copper and silver for preparing solder. The morning ritual went on, each working accepting his portion from Ranofer and carrying it to the courtyard to begin his task, while the scribe kept strict account of every grain. Rekh, the goldsmith, arrived at the last measure was doled out. He greeted the men in his deep, gentle voice, smiled at Ranofer, and bade him ready for the big furnace. As the boy started for the charcoal bin, Rekh limped past him and spoke to the scribe. "Well, Hodapek?" "Master, the figures remain the same, though I checked them thrice over. The weights do not tally. Again, we are lacking. It is not a large amount, but still it is gone." Rekh was silent, and the boy dared not turn from the bin of charcoal to look at his face. He did not need to. Too well he could imagine the kindly eyes clouding, the smile fading into discouragement. Rekh sighed. "I do not understand it," he murmured. Well, we shall have to take other steps, though I do not know what. Weigh all the sweepings again today." "Aye, master." Ranofer bent over the bin, outwardly intent on scooping charcoal into the furnace pan, inwardly cursing the Babylonian and Gebu alike. Rekh's limping footsteps stopped behind him. Anubis, save us. This is enough charcoal, boy, the goldsmith said in a tone of mild surprise. It's only a small box I wish to solder, not a pharaoh's throne. Oh, I crave pardon, Neb Goldsmith, the boy mumbled, hastily returning a scoop or two of the black lumps into the bin. Oh, it is of no moment. Rekh hesitated, then added, Your shoulder is better today. I'm glad, Shari. There was affection in his voice, and his use of the term small one brought sudden tears to Ranofer's eyes. So vividly did he recall his father's voice using that very term of endearment. He scowled fiercely to cover his emotion, and not knowing what to say to Rekh, made no answer at all. In a fluster of self-consciousness, he turned his back, dropped a hot coal into the nest of charcoal in the furnace, and began to blow on it vigorously. Gently, gently, exclaimed Rekh. Blow only a little at first, or the flame will not come. Sometime before midday, you'd best make more charcoal. The bin is nearly empty. He limped on to his bench to resume work on the jewel box he was making for the tomb of a wealthy Theban. Ranofer, flushing hot as he coaxed the flame, could only fume at his own bungling. Again, he had behaved rudely to one whose friendship he most desired. Could he not at least have thanked Rekh for his concern about his shoulder? Could he not have smiled? And why, oh why, had he puffed away at the coal like an ignorant novice when he'd known for years exactly how to coax a flame into being? Rekh would thank him a dullard, unfit to learn the goldsmith's trade. Well, he would prove otherwise somehow. Ranofer's brow cleared and his heart lightened again. He could not stay gloomy today, knowing the trouble would soon be gone from Rekh's gentle eyes. There would be no gold missing this week, nor the next forever. Giving a last puff to the fire, which was now blazing merrily, he hurried to answer the first craftsman's call. It was the middle of the morning, before he had a moment to spare for the depleted charcoal bins. Glancing into it guiltily, he snatched up a basket and plunged it out into the sunny courtyard before anyone could cry, Ranofer, come hither. He was filling his basket at the wood box when Hecate came up behind him. I was looking for you, friend. The ever-scowling first craftsman bids me ask if you will make charcoal today. Aye, this very minute. Good thing I'm to watch you and learn how it's done. Will you teach me? Gladly. Feeling a pleased importance, Ranofer led the way across the sun-warmed pavement to an idle furnace. If you do it yourself, you will remember better. See that copper box? Fill it with little logs for the basket. Aye, Ned Ranofer, with a grin and mock obedience, Hecate began to arrange logs in the firing box. And Ranofer used his moment of leisure to watch the work going on around him. Eagerly, his eyes moved from bench to bench, sliding over Hapaios, who was still beating ingots into sheets, lingering on the older apprentice next to him, who was winding gold wire with about a rod, preparatory clipping it into links for a necklace. Ranofer waited until he thrust it into the fire for annealing and made careful note of the exact dull red it reached before it was pulled out again. Across the way, young Maria knelt before one of the shaping stakes, hammering his first bowl. Maria's brow was furrowed, and Ranofer's ear told him why. The metal was not ringing true. The sound set Ranofer's teeth on edge. Maria would have a sorry and crooked bowl, he reflected, if he did not hold his elbow higher, and he must stiffen his wrist or that sharp-edged hammer will leave marks all over the gold. The craftsman should have given him one of those round-faced horn hammers weighted with lead for his first attempt. Thutra would have done so. Is it enough, Master Ranofer? Came Hecate's voice. It may be I could crowd in one or two more logs, but nay, that's enough. said Ranofer, hastily returning to the business in hand. Now, the lid must go on, but do not fasten it too tightly, or there will be no place for the gases to escape. We will do it thus. Do you see? Leaving a little space there. He helped Tekket with the box shut, then turned to stir up the fire. Now, take the other handle, friend. We'll set the box in the furnace. So, there is nothing else to it. But when the gases have all escaped, then the wood will be charcoal, and we may take it off the fire to cool. Is it not simple? Simple if you know the trick of it, remarked the vulture as she laid a falcon egg. Heket chuckled at his own joke, then waved Ranofer away. Go on to your next task, friend. I'll see this done. Many thanks for the lesson. Today he did not ask me questions about myself, thought Ranofer as he moved away. Perhaps he understands that I do not wish to answer them. We shall be friends after all. And we're going to stop there. We will finish the chapter the next time. Bye-bye.